Why are we waiting to live? God tells us in John 10:10 that he came so that we may have life and have it abundantly. But why do we spend so much of our lives chasing joy, peace, and contentment instead of actually living in it? Ever since moving back home, I found myself constantly looking toward, to what's next. When am I leaving? Why did I have to come back here? And this idea that once I move into my own place again and everything looks the way that I want it to, then I can really live. I've been living in this cycle of thinking for months, and it's been so exhausting. And the other day, my best friend and I were talking, and we're both in a similar season of life. And we found ourselves dreaming about the day we'd move out again. And somewhere in that conversation, I told her, I think this constant way of thinking is hurting us more than it's helping us. We're always looking toward the next thing and not appreciating what God may be doing in our lives right now. Yeah, it's tough dealing with some of the things that we're going through right now. But what if we get to that place that we're dreaming of and we continue this way of thinking of what's the next best thing? When will we finally be content in our lives? And so she agreed and said, I think it's time that we shift our perspective. And she had me think about that all day because I was looking around my room. I was walking through the hallways of my parents' house, and I started thinking about everything that's happened over the past year. And that's when I realized that there were really two stories I could tell. I could tell the story of how everything isn't going right or how this season just sucks. Or I could tell the story of God's goodness, because the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I've been so focused on where I thought I'd be that I almost missed everything God has been doing right where I am. Since leaving Houston, I've started my business. I've had the opportunity to help other people start their business and bring to life things God put on their hearts. I've watched our ministry grow in ways that I've never imagined. But most importantly, through my struggles this past year, I've been able to grow deeper in my faith and experience God on a whole new level. I am definitely not the same Kiera who left Houston. And looking back, I don't think this season has been about putting my life on hold originally, how I thought originally. I think it's been about God preparing me, teaching me, and drawing me closer to him than I've ever been before. And to be honest, I don't think I would have become this version of myself if everything had gone according to my plan. Now, I'm not saying you should ignore your emotions or pretend that everything's okay, because there's real disappointments, there's prayers you're still waiting on, and sometimes seasons are just hard. But what I'm saying is, don't let those emotions become the only story you tell yourself. Take those emotions to God and let him meet you there and ask him to help you see what he's been doing, even if it looks different than what you expected. Because shifting your perspective doesn't change your circumstances overnight, believe me, but it changes the way you walk through them. I can honestly say that since making that shift, my days have felt lighter. My nights don't feel as long. My relationship with God has grown deeper. Even my relationship with my family has changed. So the circumstances didn't suddenly become perfect, but I stopped waiting for the ideal moment or season to begin living and started recognizing that with God, I can have that peace and joy and contentment in that abundant life right now. So I'll leave you with a few questions that have really been helping me to live an abundant life right now. So one, have you been so focused on where you want to be that you've missed what God is doing where you are? What story have you been telling yourself about this season? And if you shifted your perspective today, where can you already see the goodness of God?